name is Nathan Jager. I am the marketing manager here at EchoStor. Really appreciate everybody jumping on, taking some time out of their day to, learn about, Microsoft Teams and the advanced capabilities that it has. We are recording this session, so we will send an email out early next week with a link to the recording. And we also, this is the third in a three-part series, so there are 2 previous sessions currently available on our YouTube channel that you can check out if you would like, and we will include that in the email as well. For the people that did attend all 3, we are going to be sending out some glassware, some nice a beer mug, a whiskey glass, and some wine glasses as well. So if you did attend all 3, I'll be reaching out to you directly to try to capture your address to send that your way. So the final thing is, for the Q&A people, feel free to put questions in during the session. I will stop Chuck and Seth and try to ask those questions. And then we also have some time set aside at the end for any last minute questions. So again, feel free to ask those during the session. So without further ado, I guess we'll kind of get started here. Today we have Seth Piontek from EchoStor and Chuck Salvo from OVATIO. They're going to be the speakers. So I will pass it to Seth to introduce himself.
Thanks, Nate. Hi, everybody. My name is Seth Piontek. I'm a solutions architect with EchoStor. I've been in the IT field for over 10 years. I've been with EchoStor for about 2.5 at this point. A lot of my experience started out being with the on-prem infrastructure, working with the traditional data center, but over the past couple of years, a lot of the organizations that we work with have been moving more towards Azure, AWS, Office 365. So I've been helping a lot of our clients advise them on, hey, what is a good cloud strategy for you, for your organization, and really help guide them on their cloud journey. Chuck?
Thanks, Seth. My name is Chuck Salvo. I'm the Chief Digital Information Officer at OVATIO. I've been working with clients for over 20 plus years, helping them maximize what they get out of technology. And in today's cloud first world, there's a lot to get out of it. So my goal really is to work with the team and work with our clients and help them understand where they can go with the cloud. So with that, who is OVATIO? We are a Microsoft Cloud Consulting and Enterprise IT staffing company. Been in business for 25 plus years. We've staffed over 1,500 positions. We have a very senior team of both engineers and recruiters. And we are the only US organization that offers the Microsoft Optimization as a Service. We are a gold partner as well as multiple silver competencies. And we've got a great relationship with EchoStor, and we're doing a lot of great work with the team over there. So what do we provide as an organization? So we have 9 ecosystems, and really the whole idea here is to empower businesses to scale, solve, and succeed using this balanced ecosystem of transformative services. So whether it's something like data intelligence, application development, content management, BPM, system integration, security, as well as staffing, our team is well versed in the Microsoft cloud. And with that, our services are in line with that cloud to help you get the most out of that. So when we talk about the cloud, Microsoft's cloud, what is that really? So this right here is the Microsoft Business Application Solution Ecosystem. And what it really does is it gives you an overview of everything that's in Microsoft, right, in that cloud. So starting at the middle, we'll talk about, starting on the top right, we'll talk about Microsoft 365, right? So this is your traditional Office 365. Right, so Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, Office, Teams, obviously a big part of that. And then going down, we have Dynamics 365, which is considered one of Microsoft's cloud, right? So this is marketing, sales, CRM, finance, operations, Business Central. And then moving down into Power Platform and Dataverse. These are kind of the BPM pieces, the application pieces of this cloud. And then lastly, Azure. Right, so all the different pieces that are coming out of Azure, as opposed to just infrastructure as a service, all these other services, right? Artificial intelligence, analytics, compute, containers, databases, networking, security, storage, all these things together are really the building blocks of the cloud. And our goal is to help customers understand what I can do with all these things. I mean, it's really just a giant set of Legos. What can you build with it? What can you do to transform a business? And that's what we're focused on. So today, Microsoft Teams, right? Probably one of the most rapidly adopted pieces of technologies in the last 12 months due to the pandemic. What's your story with Teams, right? So many organizations have come to adopt remote working. They had to, right? So how are you using remote working technologies? Are you using Teams, using Slack, using Zoom, whatever it is? Our goal today is to show you how Teams, for those of you that are using it, or maybe if you're new to it, what you can really do with Teams, right? There's a lot of features and functionality that people don't understand, don't know about. So our goal here is to really open your eyes to what's available.
A lot of this for me, Chuck, it really comes down to one word, and that's collaboration. Right now, everyone's been working from home for a long time. We've all used Zoom, we've used WebEx, we've used Chime, we've used Teams. We've used half a dozen to a dozen different programs, either do web conferences, to do IM, to do video conferences, to share documents with coworkers, either emailing around or using SharePoint. But really where Teams shine is really helping with that collaboration of having a group of people that can get together, that can talk, that can work on the same document, that can work on all of the Office products. But then with Teams, one of the nice part about Teams, all the third-party applications and the add-ins that they can add into it, that can really take a lot of their collaboration and a lot of the work they're doing together with their teams in this product to the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Seth. So with that, let's talk about what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a golf theme here. Due to the pandemic, the ultimate sport out there is golf, right? Social distancing built in, huge amount of golfers. So we're going to do a little bit of a golf theme. The idea is to kind of look at it from a standpoint of a user experience. We'll just say they're working in a golf store, right? Very simple. But we're going to go through these different apps here, the channels, the connectors, the tabs, apps, bots, virtual agents, and voice. Show you how you can put this together to solve a problem. So with that, give me 1 second. I should change my sharing here. All right, awesome. All right, so the first one here is really understanding kind of the Teams architecture, right? Teams is Microsoft's single pane of glass, and the long-term goal maybe that what I've seen is Microsoft could eventually get rid of your operating system because everything that you need to do is running inside of Teams. So how do you do that? How do you get to that single pane of glass? And that really starts with, first off, leveraging the channels, right? So with this one here, under the team, we have 3 different channels. Again, this is just a demo here, but what happens when I have a channel, I have the ability to add things to it, right? So you've seen the traditional files in the wiki, right? But the reality is, there's a lot more that you can add to this. And by adding more of these tabs and apps and so on, you're really enhancing the functionality, right? And the number one thing here is the posts. Really, this is the conversation. I can tell you this personally, since we've switched to Teams, my email with my coworkers has gone to almost nothing because the vast majority of my communications is happening through the posts inside of a channel. So whether it's in the chat or Teams in the channel, this is where a lot of our collaboration is happening. So with that, channels are great. What can we do with the channel above and beyond the tabs and apps? So one of the first ones we can do is connectors. So if I go in here, I can add a connector. So a connector is basically a way to get data into the team, into the channel, right? So right now we've got a couple of these going, right? So I can go in here and add additional ones. These are all different connectors, right? I can bring in Bing News, I can bring in Google Analytics. So let's bring in Google Analytics. So I'm gonna click on Google Analytics. I'm gonna click on Add. So you get this nice screen. All the apps have these nice welcome screens that give you information about what's going on. So I'm gonna click on Add. What's going to happen now is Google's going to come up with their thing and say, okay, what do you want to add? I'm going to choose my Google account. I'm going to choose the site right here. And I'm going to say, you know what? I want to get this report daily. I'm going to hit save over here. So what this is doing now is it's basically creating a connector from Google Analytics back into Teams, back into this channel. Let's look at that. Lo and behold, I now have a report coming in from Google. Right, here's our daily report from OVATIO Tech. We had 136 visitors, session duration, all these other things. But the great part about it is I didn't have to go out there and go run a report, right? So I didn't have to set up people with access to the Google reports. Basically, I can bring this information in. So the goal here is, this is what's called a card. So it's a lot more complex information than just a conversation, right? And there's a lot of functionality and features that you can do inside these cards. But again, the goal here is using that connector to augment that data. So another example of that is, let's see here, sorry. Up here, we actually added an RSS feed. So we're using ESPN's RSS feed to bring data in. So again, what's happening? I'm aggregating information into my channel without having to go out there and find it. And I'm creating a single source of truth for all the people, everyone on my team that's selling golf equipment. All right, so that's connectors. So let's talk about tabs, right? Tabs and apps, another big thing here. So I can go in here and I can add more tabs. If I click on add, I get this menu, right? So again, these are apps, right? Tabs, apps, pretty much the same thing. A lot of them from Microsoft right at the top, right? Forms, Power BI, PDF, so on and so forth, as well as a huge amount of third-party apps that are continuing to grow on a weekly and almost daily basis. I remember when this started out, over 2 years ago, it was probably 20 non-native Microsoft apps. And now you can see it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And again, you're talking about that notion of that single pane of glass, right? Integrating all these apps, creating that user experience. So I don't have to go out there and say, okay, do your job. We need to use these 14 different applications, and I got to give you links, and you get to tap it in your website and your favorites and so on and so forth. Really, I'm building that up right here. So here's a great example right here. We've embedded dynamics. Right? So the nice part about this is, if I'm looking at this, and again, kind of that golf theme, I've got dynamics embedded inside of here. So if I want to go look up an account or something, one of my customers calls, for instance, Kev's Golf Shack, it's right there available to me. Right? So I can click on that and I'm driving through. And I'm using the application in that same thing. I haven't left Teams, right? I'm able to get all this different stuff.
Chuck, we did have a question come in, and that is, what if you want to connect a source that's not in the connectors?
Absolutely, that's a great one. We see that a lot. So what happens with that is you can use things called a webhook. So if I go in here and I click the plus, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I go in here and I go to connectors. See over here, incoming webhook, right? Send data from a service to your Office 365 group in real time, right? So what's happened here is this allows me to send data in, and I've actually got a setup ready for this. I'm using Postman right here. So what Postman is just a way to send an HTTP post. Without getting too nerdy with you, what's really neat about this is that this is what gets generated by this webhook, right? There's our URL, webhook.office.com. Then this long GUI right here, incoming webhook. The idea behind this is an unauthenticated way of sending data into your team's channel. But again, it's pretty much tokenized from the standpoint that you need to know this exact URL, right? It's really long, it's really complex, it's really secure. But what's cool about this is I can go and take this, I can send this right here. And basically, this right here is a card. Remember, we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? So this is what a card looks like in the background. But then if I come inside of here, this is what got sent in, right? So again, if you've got some Apache-based system, you've got some Linux-based system, you're writing Java code, whatever it is, and you're like, man, it'd be great if I can send something into Teams, but I don't have any way to integrate it aside from a RESTful-based endpoint. There you go. By using cards and webhook, you can basically send data into Microsoft Teams.
Awesome. Thanks. We did have one more come in, Chuck, and I think you get to this later, but I'm going to just ask it now. And you can let me know if we'll do it later. But Pete asked, what do we do about PII that is stored in the cloud, and who has access to that?
Okay, so PII can be handled more on the compliance side, and we are going to get to that. I do have a little demo to set up to show you how you deal with PII, HIPAA, Social Security numbers, whatever it is. We can deal with compliance from the team's perspective, and really, it's an underlying function for Office 365 because of the fact that Microsoft looks at Teams, SharePoint, email, OneDrive as all one single content source, right? So it can apply the same set of rules to all those. So later on, we will definitely hit the compliance piece.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck.
No problem. So what I want to show you is one more app, and I think this is pretty cool, and this is a new one that's recently come out. This right here is called Calendar, right? So this is called the Channel Calendar, and this is really neat. We'll call this marketing events. And over here, you'll see this little post to the channel about this tab. So by clicking that and leaving that on, when I add this, a couple things happen. First, I have this new calendar, and this is really slick. This is an enhancement from the existing calendar functionality. So in the past, when you'd go and you create an event, you could pin an event to a channel, right? Now, with this marketing calendar, with this channel calendar, when I say add new event, you'll notice it's a very similar interface, right? It even has a scheduling assistant. But if I go back to the details, you'll notice over here in the channel, it's locked down, right? I can't change this. Again, the whole idea is to make things easy for you. So we're gonna have some demo days for ping. We'll put it on the 19th. We're gonna be there from 9 to 12. We're gonna hit a lot of golf balls. We're gonna try out all the clubs and hit send. So what happens now is this is available, right? Demo days for ping, there it is. So now for the entire organization, when I go back here to posts, what do I see? First off, that I've added this new tab, right? This is kind of the default thing. Anytime I add a tab, I want to keep that notification so everyone in the team is aware of this new functionality. And then over here, I've scheduled a meeting. Again, now it's available to everyone. And actually, if I go into Outlook, this will actually be added to my Outlook calendar because I'm a member of this team. So calendaring now becomes really nice and easy, and it's a great UI for you to see what's going on. All right, I'm going to show you one more app that I really think is great. Basically just to pin into your teams, right? So we've shown kind of this notion of transactional information, communication, kind of some collaboration, obviously the traditional files and wiki. But this one here, Power BI. Embedding Power BI inside of a channel is a great way to take that team and really take that information to that next level. Because now what's happening? You're getting the reporting that you need. You're getting the visualizations that you need, and ideally creating actionable business intelligence, which kind of creates that feedback loop, right? So here's just Power BI. I've got a default retail sales in here, right? I've got filters over here if I want. I can hide that over here. Just some great reporting, very, very visual. And again, the whole goal here is for that user to have everything that they need in that one channel, that one team. So again, channels for us kind of a very topic driven, and then the tabs and apps and connectors basically augmenting that channel. All right, so this is some really good stuff, but let's talk about some even more good stuff. Bots, right? So going down to apps, if I go in here, I can search and add all these different apps, right? But over here, you kind of see the, we saw connectors, we saw tabs, now we see bots. So the whole idea behind a bot is it's a communicative way of interacting with kind of the technology. So let's take a look at a bot here. I've got the Who bot. Right? So I bring this up. What can I do? I can ask this. Basically, it gives me all these different things that I can do. So let's see. Who is the manager of? Let's go with this. We'll go with Kevin. Kevin. Oh, this Kevin reports to me. This is good. So the goal here really is that the bot is going in and going actually into Active Directory and doing a lookup to the manager attribute and then finding the information and then presenting again a card, right? So bots are great about this because really it's giving me a text-based interface into application functionality. So a great feature of Office 365 and actually part of the Power Platform is virtual agents. So with virtual agents, you can create your own bots and then integrate those into Teams. So just give you a quick demonstration on that. So over here, I'm in the Power Virtual Agent. I've got this human resources bot. And what this is doing is I've got this kind of tweaked up a little bit. I've kind of turned to the golf virtual agent. So I can go in here and try this out. I can say hello and test my bot out. What's great about this is you actually see a visual workflow of the bot. So taking this even further, I can come back into Teams, well, back to the author environment. Again, I go in here and I can ask questions. How would you like help getting ideas on how to improve your game? Sure. So I'm gonna say yes, right? Great, let's start with some simple questions. And you see what's happening is I'm actually going down this tree over here. This is all kind of WYSIWYG or what they call as low code, no code. So you can go in here and create your own bot experience. Then you can then go and deploy it into Teams. So if I come over here, it's my human resources bot, right? So let's go back into this, start it over, say hello over here. Right? Yes, I'd like some help. How far do I hit my 7 iron? I hit 175 yards on a good day, and it might go straight. Right. So the whole idea, though, is that what's happening is I'm interacting with this bot. It's giving me responses, and I can go back to this bot environment. And if I needed to, I can do things like, all right, great. It looks like you're hitting the ball solid, but let's do this. I can go and create a node, right? And I can call an action. So something here called Power Automate, which is another part of your Office 365 suite, right? I can create a flow. So a perfect example of this is, what if I said I was only hitting the ball 130 yards? I could probably use some lessons, right? So I can create a flow in here where I could ask the individual if you'd like to request some lessons, and they would go out and book an appointment and so on and so forth. But again, the whole purpose of this is to create that communication piece with the individual without having someone actually do these, and ask these questions. All right. So next up, let's talk about voice. All right. So I want to give you a quick little demonstration on voice, and then we're going to get into kind of the cost of it. So with that, let me just set this up real quick. I'm going to go to my Teams right here. And I'm going to change myself from do not disturb to available. And I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of someone actually calling into Microsoft Teams voice. Because again, voice is a big part of Teams, right? Microsoft Skype originally had Skype for Business, had the voice services. That's been rolled into Teams. And this is a great add-on for Teams because this allows us to integrate basically voice into our system. So right here, I've got a queue set up for retail. Looks like someone's calling me. So let's talk to this person. Hello, this is Chuck.
Hey, this is Eric from Kev's Golf Shack. Just checking in to see the status of my order.
Oh, no problem, Eric. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Just give me 1 second while I pull up your account. How's business this year?
Things are good. Things are good right now. I was actually looking to order some new ping irons at the same time too.
Awesome. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Yeah, I've got your orders right here. Looks like you placed an order, a spring order, but it looks like you might need some additional credit to place another order. Let me do this. Yeah, you're on credit hold. So let me make a request and see if I can get you some additional credit.
Awesome. Thank you.
So what I'm going to do while Eric is on the phone here is I'm going to make a request to basically get him some more credit. So there's an approval app inside of Microsoft Teams. Right? So this is, again, another great part of Teams. Request credit. And you know what? Julie's going to approve this for me. I'm going to send that off to Julie. Hopefully she'll respond pretty quick. Hopefully she's not too busy over there in the credit department. But again, what am I really demonstrating here? I've got a customer on the phone. I haven't left Teams. I was able to look at his account, haven't left Teams. I'm now requesting interaction with one of my coworkers, and I haven't left Teams at all. And again, really, what's our goal? Single pane of glass. And now bringing in that voice piece to it really changes the game. All right, so while that's going, hopefully Julie responds pretty quickly so that we get a notification. Oh, maybe Julie's out. So we'll have to come back to that later on. But Eric, thanks for the call. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, thanks.
So voice is awesome, again, from the standpoint of it's fully integrated. I can go in here into my calls. I can go and dial a number. Right? I actually have a phone number. The other great part about voice is if I do a meeting, I can add a dial-in number. Because again, not everyone's going to have the Teams client. As much as we hope that Teams is everywhere, the reality is people still use the PSTN, the plain old switch telephone network. So by adding the voice service, I can add that dial-in number for meetings. So let's go a little bit deeper into that voice piece. So over here, here's an understanding of the voice costs, right? Because many people look at voice and they say, well, you know, what do I buy? What am I getting? So on and so forth. So what this does is this really gives you an understanding of what you're getting. So the first piece here is the Microsoft Phone System license. This is $8 per month. And basically what this enables you to do is use the phone system, but you still need a calling plan, right? And again, if you want the audio conferencing, that's an additional $4 per month, right? And then as we go on, there's some different add-ons, right? So there's a common area phone, meeting rooms, Teams Room Premium. This right here is your Surface. So if you have a Microsoft Surface and you want to add it, that is a $50 a month license. It is well worth it. The Surface is an outstanding piece of equipment. Next up, you have these right here, right? You've got bundles. So voice without a calling plan. So audio conferencing phone system, $12. No real discount there, right? This one right here, voice with a calling plan, audio conferencing phone system, and domestic dialing. Now they're giving you some sort of discount. So you have calling plans. Again, these are Microsoft only calling plans, but we're going to talk in a sec about, well, what if I don't want to have Microsoft as my telephone provider? So you can use the Microsoft calling plan. It's $12 a month for domestic. If you want to go international, it's an additional. If you want both, it's $24. So that's per user. In my mind, these are great entry calling plans. If you want to quickly and easily get voice up and running, that's great. So a little bit of pros
and Chuck, before you move on, I did just have a question, and that's, can you port your number?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we can port all your DIDs, and again, we can port them into Microsoft. There is a user interface. You can go in there and add your numbers, and Microsoft will handle the porting. Or you can use a third-party telco. And this, for us, is probably one of the more popular ones for the, we'll say, the medium to larger organizations. So again, kind of pros and cons. If you're using Microsoft for your dial plan, it's easy to set up one billing provider, one support channel. It's expensive. It lacks flexibility, and you might have issues with existing contracts, right? Maybe you've already purchased a PBX and you're on the hook for that. If you're integrating with a third party, now we get a bunch of options, right? We can use your existing SIP/telco provider. There's economy of scales with dialing minutes, right? So Microsoft gives you 3,000 minutes per user. It's not shareable. Traditionally, when you're a bigger company and you buy voice, you just buy minutes across the board. And that's really the way you want to go when you're talking about if you're a bigger organization. On that same thing, we can also connect to your existing PBX and hardware for phase transition. So many customers of ours will sit there and they will have they'll have a Genesis phone system, Cadillac of phone systems. They put a lot of money into it, but they don't want to use that same phone system for maybe some of their knowledge workers who don't need, call center functionality, call recording, queuing links, all these different things. They just need endpoints. So what we'll do is we'll integrate Microsoft Teams using a solution called direct routing. So this is part of Teams, and what it does is it allows us to use an SBC, a session border controller, to basically bring Teams and connect it into your PBX or straight into your SIP provider. So basically with that, if you don't have a PBX, you can use the SBC to connect to your SIP provider to get dial tone and give you that economy scale. It is a little bit more complex to set up, right? There's an additional piece of hardware or virtual hardware that can run both on-premise or in the cloud. But again, it gives you a lot more flexibility. All right. Seth, I think you and I had some conversations a little bit about the compliance side, correct?
Yeah, it's something that I always like to bring up when we're talking to organizations, because a lot of people, when they start out with Teams, they look at Teams of, hey, this is this free product that we can use. They start by IMing, they spin up a few Teams channels, and then word gets out of, hey, we have Teams, everybody can use it, it's great. So then it quickly kind of starts to scale out where a large number of the people in the organization are using it. They start spinning up Teams. But what they don't realize is that when you spin up a new team, it spins up a SharePoint site in the background. So before they know it, the whole environment is quickly spun out of control. They don't have any guidelines in place on how to organize it, how to stay compliant, how to govern everything. So then we're coming in and we're kind of help guiding these organizations of, well, look, it's a great product, but you want to make sure that you have plans in place to make sure that it's actually used properly and doesn't kind of just grow into this wild mess here that's very difficult to govern and maintain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Teams and SharePoint and OneDrive, it's great together, but yeah, the Wild West is the thing you want to avoid. We've been doing SharePoint for many, many years, and it's a common issue, right? The SharePoint sprawl. Now you kind of have that Teams sprawl. So let's talk about these things, one at a time. So the first one is compliance, right? How do I protect against things inside of Teams to make sure that I'm not putting something bad? So with that, if you go into protection.office.com, right, you have DLP policies. You can create your own policies. This one here, we've got basically this test keyword blocking, right? And what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this. What happens if I go to try this out? Let's go here. So if I go in here and I type in fuzzy bunny, oops. So I've sent this off, and what's actually happening here is in the background, the message was blocked, right? And you see I get this notification, right? This message was blocked. Why? I can't use fuzzy bunny. So what can I do here? Your message is blocked due to organization policy, test keyword block, right? This information is blocked by company policy. So if you view your message and ask yourself, why do you need fuzzy bunnies? So again, this is a compliance piece. So it's coming out of here. And basically the whole idea behind this is you can add different policies, right? So I mean, here you've got PII, you've got PCI, HIPAA, so on and so forth. You might have something where you've got account numbers. You might have something, you have certain formats of data that are easily recognizable. You're like, hey, I can't send that in Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive or in my email. So what this does is it blocks it. If I want, I can override this, or I can report it to my admin. So the beauty of this is that from one central location, basically that protection.office.com, I can create compliance, right, around my communications inside of Teams. Like we said, when you look at Teams, there's multiple things in here. So going back to our team over here, right, you think about our posts, right, that's a communication channel. If you think about files, there's another content source. If you think about OneDrive, that's another content source. Microsoft is basically protecting those with one umbrella. So that's just a quick demonstration of some of the compliance stuff. So let's talk a little bit about governance, because again, one of the big problems we talk about is sprawl inside of Teams. One of the big issues that I see inside of Teams is this notion of my team only has one attribute, the team name, right? So how do I get in there and kind of sort this and organize this and make things easier? And that's really where governance comes into play. So we have a solution that we recommend, which is called Orchestrate. Orchestrate from a third party. The team that's put this together has done a wonderful job. It's got a beautiful user interface. And really what it does is it helps with creating teams, right? So I can go in here and I can select a workspace. So the idea behind this is the workspace basically has all the different things that I want inside of it. So I've got this demo template for voice. So you could say, well, that's nice, but I already have a template. You know, I can do templates inside of Teams. The team template is terrible. It only basically recreates the tabs. The notion of orchestra is it gives you a lot more power and functionality. So I can go in here and say, all right, I'm going to do this one right over here, demo template. So what's happening is it's going to take me through this walkthrough, right? I've got some documents that I'm going to pre-populate. I'm going to give it a name. So what's happening is you'll see how it's saying DEPT. So really here is your workspace will have its name altered based on the rules set up here for your organization. So the idea behind it is you can create workspace templates, give them the proper naming convention, and ensure that that's followed, that your governance is followed, right? I'm going to keep going down on this. So over here, right, it's available. And what's great too is you see this, right? So again, this is SharePoint, right? Tech Services LLC, SharePoint.com sites, Department Voice Demo. All right, here's my description. I'm gonna click on create. And you'll see here, it's already bringing in these channels, right? And if I want, I can add additional ones. But again, because it's using this team, this voice demo as my template, it's already pre-populating those channels. Say next, I can set up who my owners are. I can set up my permissions, any features I want. Right? If I want, I can remove these. And I can say, yep, I'm ready to go. So in the background now, this is going in and basically doing all the automation, finding the teams, finding the tabs, finding the apps, the channels, and basically going in and spinning up a new team based on the proper thing. So this to us is a great way to control how teams are being created. Naming convention is taken care of, standardization of what you're expecting, and real control, right? It doesn't mean that you can't just go out there and spin up a team, but for us, this is the better way to handle this. So you can see right here, it's going through all of its different pieces of automation to pull things down. Content types, lists, everything. All right. That's going to run in the background while that does. All right, next up. Okay, so a couple of new features. We kind of went over the first one there, approvals, right? Let's check on that. Let's see if our approval actually finished here. Yeah, here we go. So while we're talking, we get a notification, right? So it looks like Kev's been approved for another 10,000. Right? So very easy. I sent the request, it's sent off, and I get a status. So if I go over here to my approvals app, I can see all my history. I can see things that I've sent. I can filter by my tenants. And again, I can create new requests. I can also integrate this into Power Automate. So again, this approval piece can be part of even a workflow where it's just not a simple approval request, but I could be doing things to bring, maybe approve a document, approve a transaction, approve more information, right, than just what's out of the box with my simple approval request. Another piece here too is this require response from all approvals. So you can even do multiple user approval. So again, another great add-on to Microsoft Teams, and we're always seeing these new apps. So another great one that we're talking about is lists. So let's go back over here into Teams. And if we go into marketing, let's see if I can find this. All right. Demo. So the demo list over here. So list is new functionality, right? So right here, what is a list? The reality is this is Microsoft SharePoint lists that have been reskinned and renamed as just lists. And they're awesome from a standpoint of getting rid of that notion of, all right, using Excel to store data in a list, right? Because what happens is I've got these great functionality here of being able to add columns. And with that, I've got a lot more ability. I can have images, I can have choices, I can do person lookup, a location. So we'll say a location over here. Location, right? And we'll just put the city and state. Save it. So look at that. I've added that column now. If I go in here and edit this entry over here, there's my lunch choice. I can do Wendy's, Burger King, Chipotle, or I can enter my office location. Say Newburyport. Yes. You see what's happening, right? Because it's starting to pick up addresses. If I go even further, well, it used to be John's Restaurant, cool back. But I can save that. And what happens now is my office location is in there. Right? So really you're enhancing functionality. You've got the ability to do things like editing review. I can filter on things. I can bring up the information pane. Right? So if I click on here, it basically brings up the data. Also shows me any activity, what type is a list item, what my path is. So again, great functionality, easy to use. Get rid of Excel, get your list into a list inside your team, and use it for whatever you want. Maybe you're using it for RMAs, maybe you're using it for things you need to take care of, to-dos, whatever it is. So speaking of to-dos, another great app that Microsoft recently changed. It used to be Planner, right? If you're familiar with Teams, you've been using it for a while, you might have used Planner. So if I go in here and I want to add a plan, or really task by planner, right? I can go into this and I'm going to create a plan. So to me, there's always been this kind of back and forth of how to do project management. Do I use Microsoft Project? Do I use Planner? Do I use Trello? Do I use Asana? All these different task management tools. Task by Planner and To Do is a pretty slick thing. And again, it used to be Planner, but now we've kind of brought things together. We're bringing in tasks from Outlook, and the To Do app is basically your task from Outlook. So we're bringing all that together. Spring sales event. Again, post a channel about this tab. I'm going to save over here. Now I've got Planner, right? It's a great app because what's happening here is we'll set up a driving range demo. We can get there early, assign it to self, and add the tasks. So now if I go over here to my apps, my task by planner, and To Do, this now is going to give me a global view of all my tasks and all my plans, right? So if I click on here, this Teams voice demo, spring sales event, there's my task. Right? So really it's bringing all those different things into one single pane of glass view from a task perspective, while still maintaining what you need to look at from just a single plan. All right. So those are a couple of new features. And again, this stuff is always changing. There's always new features coming out. You know, if some of you might have seen Microsoft Beaver is a new piece that's coming out. That's going to have integration with Teams when they keep adding stuff. It's still a little bit new. So, you know, people have asked us about Beaver. I will tell you that you probably need to wait another month or two to get really excited. The one feature that's in there is topics, which still needs a little bit more room to be baked out, but the Viva app will be integrating into Teams. And again, it'll push that Teams functionality even further. All right. So that's kind of the end of our presentation for, you know, advancing Teams, pushing it deeper and further, and, you know, giving you an idea of what you can do with it. And Seth, I think you and I talked a little bit about this, you know, this Teams remediation, and I know you wanted to talk about this offer.
Yeah, the Wild West thing is something that we see quite a bit in the field, where, like I mentioned before, Teams is great. It's really easy to use, but that easy use can also kind of come in as a double-edged sword of, yes, it's easy, but that ease can kind of lead you into a sense of complacency that's going to go and sprawl beyond something that you can manage. So the Teams remediation and cleanup solution here is something that we're seeing a lot more interest in with the organizations that we're talking to.
Absolutely. And from our perspective, we have a remediation and cleanup solution, right? So really it turns into categorizing our existing teams and SharePoints into something that's fully customized and configurable, getting the workspace directory set up. So really, for us, we're looking at Orchestra as part of that solution because, again, we want to get some governance in place. So we can use the Orchestra piece to create that directory to clean up what's going on in regards to teams, make things easier to find. And also create that governance, right, about the creation, naming, retention, and disposition of our teams, sites, and groups. And also identify what's used and when to ensure that users know exactly which M365 should be used for which job and more. So again, that notion of I'm using 10, 15, 30 different apps outside of the Microsoft stack. What can I use in the Microsoft stack to take care of those things? Like we're saying, maybe using Tableau, maybe replace that with Power BI, using Asana, maybe replace that with Planner, and even deeper into some of the security stuff as well. So if you're new to Teams and you're looking to roll this out, we have our Microsoft 365 Modern Workplace Quick Start. What that does is really it's about how to roll Teams out for those of you that are new to it. So we take two business processes and we transform those into fully customized and configured Teams and SharePoint templates, incorporating naming conventions, governance rules, and metadata. So again, the goal there is to help users embrace Teams by showing them what can be done, kind of taking the Teams to the next level, like we demonstrated earlier. Onboarding and adoption plan to help communicate to your organization the new tools they have. And adoption is a key thing here, and how to get the required to get started with requesting workspaces. So we want to train them, we want to show them what Teams can do, and then we want to show them, hey, this is how you can get a team. All right, so again, that kind of request process to set up the right template. Naming convention, right, is a big one. And really provide a clear direction for users to identify, again, which tool they can use for the job. Kind of that same theme you saw earlier for remediation, how to reduce that third-party footprint, leverage what you already have in your Microsoft Office 365, maybe it's an E3 or an E5 license, how to get the most out of that. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. We hope this presentation was valuable and not a total snooze fest. We hope it opened your eyes to what Teams can do for you. And at this point, I'll hand it back to Nate.
Thank you so much, Chuck, Seth. Everybody, we're going to try to do a couple minutes Q&A here, so get some questions in if you have them. We do have one in now, and that's in regards to backing up Teams. I think maybe Seth, this one is up your alley.
Yeah, so backing up Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, that's a conversation that we're starting to have more and more frequently as users are starting to take advantage of the full Microsoft stack. A lot of people move their workloads into Microsoft and assume that Microsoft will recover those workloads for them if they either accidentally delete it or something's missing. Microsoft has protections in place for data corruption, but they're not going to help you recover a deleted file. So we have a number of solutions available that we can help align to our clients' business needs. So the best bet would be if somebody's interested in talking about backing up Teams or any other product in the Microsoft suite, contact your EchoStor account executive. We can talk to you. We can find out what your requirements are and help align the solution to those needs. That'll be the best fit for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth. And we did have a question if this is going to be available for viewing later. It is. It will go up on the EchoStor YouTube channel, and we'll send up a follow-up email early next week with a link to that so that you can share it with your team. So keep an eye out for that. One question here, and it may be a bit ambiguous, but if anybody can answer it, it's Chuck. And that question that came in was, how do you measure or how do you monitor Teams performance?
Ooh, that's a great question. How would you monitor Teams performance? So I guess, the question really is what are you measuring from a standpoint of response rate, or is it performance from an adoption perspective, right? So we'll go on the lines of adoption, and a big one that we look at is how you reduce email, right? So there's a bunch of reports in the Microsoft Admin Center that will show you exactly what's happening from a adoption perspective. If you're talking about performance on the calling side, there's a bunch of Power BI reports that are available to give you some call metrics, though we do recommend as a third-party solution that we use for our call metrics on that. And then after that, I don't really have anything else on the top of my head in regards to performance, because again, it's cloud-based, right? So you don't really worry about, is it taking up too much CPU and memory and whatnot. So those to me would kind of be the two big ones in regards to monitoring.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck. I'm not seeing anything else here in the Q&A. So if anybody does have any further questions that they want answered, you can reach out to your EchoStor account exec, or if you don't know who that is, you can reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction. If you just reply to the invite, you should get me, and I can point you right in the right direction. So appreciate everybody jumping on, taking an hour out of their Thursday to kind of learn about Teams here and how to really optimize the usage. Special thanks to Chuck and Seth for putting this on for us. And again, keep an eye out early next week with a follow-up email for the link to this recording, as well as a link to the other recordings from our previous 2 sessions that we've done with OVATIO. And so I think without further ado, we'll end it there. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you.